Oh my gosh. This box is humongous. All right. Well, Yuko already did their unboxing, so I figure you've seen that done before. So I wasn't gonna do a scripted unboxing. So I was gonna just play it by ear. But I still wanted to show you guys what, the process actually looked like. Just so you know, so the demo wheels are air shipped in directly from China, which is very expensive to do. I think overall it costs something like, it used to be like $300, but I think recently with all the supply crunch and problem with shipping, it's now like $800 or even $1,000. The other requirements are that the battery has to be shipped separate. So this is why, this is actually the battery. And in case if you're wondering why I never actually reviewed the apron, so the aprons actually got caught up in shipping. We never found out what happened. According to tracking, it's sitting in a warehouse somewhere in Kentucky, but they wouldn't release it. And apparently, like Jason said, he called numerous times and they still wouldn't do it. But because they shipped the battery separate, I actually have the battery. So this is very exciting. So, all right. You probably see this portion on the Yuko unboxing. They have a nice compartment for all the pads and everything. So I'm gonna set that aside. And this is gonna be tough. This is a very deep box. And it's a very heavy wheel. Oh my gosh. I may have to tip this over. Take photos for the rest of the guys. Does feel very high quality, I gotta say. This is nicer than some of the 3D printed pads I'm used to. This looks like it's actually cast. All right, let me see if I can do this without damaging the wheel. Okay. All right. How do I see? There's all this plastic stuff. All right. Can you see decently? Okay. I thought this would be like spring loaded. There's a little bit of a magnetic latch, but it's just loose. I think Law had mentioned that he was afraid that when you jump it, it was going to smash against the backside. I see what he means now. Okay. All right, let's put everything else back. So, first impression is pretty nice. If I had paid $3,000 for this guy, I think I would be pretty satisfied. Just how substantial this box is alone felt a lot more than what the other unboxing experience I have done in the past. So let me just quickly show you what comes with the rest of this box. So you get the top seat. I guess you don't have to pay extra for it. And then you get these side pads. They all have double sticky back to it. And then there's this little tail fin because I think these pads actually overhang the battery compartment in the back of the wheel. So they gave you a support wedge to actually support the back of the pads. But I don't know, I'll try them out, but I suspect that I would still prefer my Clark pad setup. So, wow, a manual, look at that, in English. This is surprising. Okay. And then we have this decent size charger, 126 volt. Excellent. I am going to actually stuff this back in the box because the next thing I have to do is unboxing the battery. I suspect that what Yuko did was they probably took it out, installed the battery, and then put it back into the box for the quote-unquote unboxing, because if they really just open it up from the raw, they wouldn't have been able to ride it right out of the box, because you need to put the battery in first. The only thing I don't know is how difficult it is going to be to install the battery pack. I actually had to do this on the first Sherman demo, and they helpfully forwarded a video instruction from the fine folks at Veteran showing you exactly how to install the battery. This isn't something you have to worry about if you are obviously buying a wheel from a distributor like eWheel, who kindly supply both the demo wheel and the for testing purposes. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at this. I gotta show you this. Look at that. Look at the size of that board. That is a huge BMS. Oh, I gotta take a picture of this. I think the nerds on the EUC chat would enjoy the heck out of this. So let's see. There's the battery pack. Very interesting. So it's the battery pack. Let's see, what do they say? Turns red. This label turns red when it meets water. So the label turns red or it's torn, and the product is not guaranteed. Interesting. So there is this thin plastic shield over the whole bore. I don't know if it's intending to. I guess it's built into the whole thing. Although if this plastic shield is really meant to protect the board, it's kind of very thin. You can just squeeze it. But I guess like they're supposed to just slide right into the compartment. So I guess it's not an issue if they are not particularly robust. Okay, let's get the other battery out first. So the other thing I'm curious about is how. So I'm gonna have to open it up to do the battery installations. That means I'll also have the opportunity to see what the motor wiring cutoff situation is going to be like, because one of the main complaints that a lot of people had is how difficult it is to actually change out the, oh my god, these are heavy. Like if you ever have to swap a tube on your wheel is a huge pain to run, because you have to, take the thing completely apart. For a Gaiwei, it's not so bad because everything is in the same compartment. But for a lot of the other modern wheels where the controller is sitting on a separate box up top, then it makes more sense it takes more work, for you to get inside the battery compartment, and then you have to get, also access the controller, and that's a huge pain in the rear end. So I'm hoping that so I do have to say, like, my impression, and again, initially, is that the Emotion plastic is still a little bit higher quality than, is this metal? No, this is plastic. It feels like it's just hard plastic. Like like the Emotion plastic still feels a little bit more robust than the Kingsong one. Like you can see some of the seam lines isn't as tight. So the build quality Emotions still have it, but Kingsong is, as you can tell, much more adventurous with their design. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get. Oh, I hope this is not going to be difficult. I'm hopeful because, see, this is not a very long wire. So if you need to get this and plug it in all the way at where the controller is, then you would have to reach in, like, hopefully that you won't have to get all the way in. Anyway, what was I saying? Let me get my screwdriver. All right. I gotta unscrew this compartment. I hope I can figure this out. I don't have a head that would fit this, unfortunately, so I can't use my driver. That would have made this a bit quicker. Slightly bigger screw than the typical. Galway has this terrible habit of using like tiny, one size smaller than this screw for their case, which I always feel like the thing is gonna fall apart really easily. So I don't really have anything to guide me as to the installation process. I hope it's obvious. Usually, I do have to say that like electric unicycles are surprisingly straightforward machines. It's just really a battery pack connected to the controller and then output to the motor. So it's not too hard to figure it out. I don't consider myself to be someone who's incredibly electrically inclined, but for simple stuff, at least for my Monster, I haven't had any problem with it. By the way, I really need to upgrade for someone who is, supposedly the expert on the matter. The fact that I'm still riding a now 3-year-old wheel as my primary mode of transport, it's kind of I should be ashamed. So there's a nice thick weather sealing, and as you can see, the compartment is has a notch in it. So, and that's to accommodate the axle dropout. So I can see the plug inside the battery compartment, but it's like here, so I can't reach it. So that means I'm going to have to access it from the top. Let's see. The board is underneath this, so I have to take out this piece. And then I have to take out, the wiring is right underneath this. So I think I'm going to have to take this out. Scares me a little bit. But so far it seems straightforward enough. Hopefully it's not going to get too complicated too quickly. So I'm going to keep this screw in here so I don't get lost. So this plastic cover, I saw a post from Law, and it sounds like they had already cracked it in a ride. So this is the thing, I see 3, so this top piece is covering the controller. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, so I need to get right in here. This is where the plug, so I'm gonna assume that like, I just have to open this up and then pull the battery pack up through and then feed the connection through here from this end. I'm not going to complain as long as it's the same screw head size. But it's not, of course. Why would it be? This is the thing with the electric unicycle. Like, up until now, for the most part, I still don't get the sense that that wheel company are building wheels with the goal of making them easier to service. Now, for the S20, the thing that is a little bit different is actually my friend Jack, who actually went to China specifically so that he has the opportunity to work on a wheel. And I suspect he had a lot of input during the design process for the S20. And I remember talking to him and then asking that he should, do his best to talk to the design team and ask that the wheel be easily accessible for maintenance, because like there's no, like, especially in the US, there's no physical store for the most part. Everyone is buying these wheels online, which means that I'm going to keep the top cover on. So hopefully I can just pull this whole assembly over and then make the connection without opening up the actual controller compartment. Hopefully. What was I saying? So yeah, so I hope they designed it knowing that a lot of these services has to be done by the owners of these wheels themselves, instead of a shop who have the proper tools to make things easier. So the more they design and engineer this wheel with the assumption that it will be self-service, the better it is. I have talked to someone recently that says they felt that the modular nature of this wheel makes it like something that's easily, like that was one of the positive of this wheel. So let's see if that's the case. Oh, the other thing I also wanted to check to see is whether or not this wheel has a cutoff. I mean, not a cutoff, but a motor wiring disconnect. Okay, that's all the screws. Let's not lose a screw. Okay. I see the wiring. So there's one for lights and one plug for, I assume that's for the battery. It's actually not too bad. So I feed the battery through, pull the wire here, make the connection right at this point, and we should be good to go. But now I have to unscrew the other side. It's very interesting. So there's a pair of bars that actually hold the wheel together. So So the S18, the way the S18 was actually designed is that you have a U-shaped fork that has a suspension piston in it, and everything is kind of mounted to this fork, which makes sense. Except that single piece in the middle, I mean, has the advantage that, since the trolley handle sits in it, it makes the trolley handle like much better balance. In this case, they made it so that it's, I think, so it's a pair of fork structurally. There's there's a fork up front, and then there's a fork in the back, and the battery, these two battery compartments kind of sits in the middle and join the two of them together. The controller just sits on top. And this is also why it has such a long travel, because I don't know if you can tell, all the way till here is open. Oh, I should be careful with that rubber piece. Very interesting. So there's a nice rubber seal in between. The compartment seems decently sealed, and it's definitely metal. So it's pretty strong. So one of the things that I also want to say is that, aesthetically, I actually prefer the S18 to the design of the S20. To me, that was a sleeker looking wheel. But the S20 is a much more, there's this kind of more practical kind of look to it. Not just look, you know, let me take that back. I mean, like it's more practically designed. It's I feel like every single part looks like it has a purpose. And look at that. I'll show you in a little bit. It looks like there's actually two pedal position for this. Not a huge distance apart, so it looks like you have the option of either raising or dropping the pedal by half an inch, something. But the interesting thing is that the way this is designed, the pedal holder is a little bit different than all the other electric unicycle we have seen in the past, which is that all the other pedal, there is the holder is in the middle. There's two, again, because it's two forks, the pedal holder is actually, there's also two pedal holders. So it looks like to me that if you're willing to drill a few additional holes, that it isn't out of the question for you to actually raise the pedal even more than what the factory customization option allows you. So again, the rubber padding on these battery compartment looks very robust. They did a good job with this. And not just like, you know, on the Gotway wheels, you just get like a little, like a tube that's like kind of squeezed in between two notch. This looks like it's like a whole piece. See? It's like a whole piece with a flange. So it should be much more effective. Okay. Next, I'm going to slide in the battery. I really know nothing about electrical stuff, so this scares me a little bit, since I hope I don't screw this up. If I do, it's going to take a while to get a replacement. That's the problem with the demo. Whenever the demo breaks, it takes forever for them to fix it, because this is, batch 0, not even batch 1, which means that there's very little spare. And in the instance of like the V12, which is a prototype wheel that I actually reviewed. So the problem, you see, is that there's a little hole right here that I'm supposed to have the wire come through. But how do I fish the wires through this long thing? All right, so here's the plan. I'm gonna feed a wire through this hole and have it come out the other end. And then I'm gonna tape it around the head of these connectors. And then I'll tie and tape it around it so I can fish it through. This is the other problem. I ensure somewhere down the road, another month or two, when people actually have these wheels in hand, that there will be a much better solution to how to do this. But being the first to have this shiny new toy in hand means that I have no one else to rely on for fun, for handy tips. So I ate on my own. Couldn't even get my strings out of this long compartment. All right, so I'm gonna tie it around this battery compartment. Am I doing this right? Yeah, it looks like it lines up. And then I'm gonna wrap the tip of these connector in tape so that they would come out. This is so such a jury-rigged thing. Haha. Oh man, this is trickier than I thought it was going to be. That's a tight fit. All right, I'm gonna lay the wheel on its side, see if that makes it any easier. Try to not break things. Okay, let's not break the only one of the only two S20 that everybody is waiting for. Ooh, very delicate. Oh, let's see. Haha. Look at this. I'm sure there's better way to do it, but hey man, whatever works, right? So the packs are in. What I'm gonna do is that I'm going to screw the compartment shut. I'm gonna hope that there's no issues, because I would surely hate to have to take this apart again. Doesn't matter how many times I done this, it still worries me a little bit. I'm somehow gonna screw it up. As straightforward as I claim these wheels to be. The thread does look a little bit more exposed than I would like. The thread of the screws, as in they screw through the case, and is like you see these slots on the side. I don't know if it's by design or what have you. It is a strange choice maybe, but the head of the screw after it go through the cover plate is just like in the slot. So, which means that, I hope I'm not pinching a wire or something. Gosh. Which means that if you get like right here dirty, yeah, like if you get these spots dirty, like muddy, you know, as you're riding off-road on this wheel, the screw may get, since it's exposed, may get rusty. And then if it's rusty, now you would have trouble pulling it out. So I wish those tips are more protected. But you can probably easily just put a piece of tape over that. But it seems a strange oversight on something so otherwise thought out carefully. The other interesting thing I have to point out is that there is 4 notches on this wheel, on the pedal that is, which means that you can you actually mount this forward of the thing? No. Like there's a slot in the back that's open. Like it looks almost like this battery compartment could be a little bit wider. Just stuff a bit more battery in there. Since having more battery is always a good thing. Okay. Oh, one thing I did not see that I am curious about is how does one remove the wheel? I don't see a disconnect, a motor disconnect inside the battery compartment. I thought it would be somewhere in here. But given how this wheel is assembled, which is just the battery, it's just its own compartment, wire come out on top, connected to the board. The output from the board, I would guess, sits elsewhere. Let's take a quick look since we have the thing disassembled. Okay, I gotta flip this around. Where is the motor? The unglorious portion of the YouTube video making life. Okay, I gotta plug in. Next is the BMS system. Then, okay. Now I gotta flip this wheel back over. Oh, this is tricky. I see 2 charge ports. Interesting. And not terribly interesting, probably. I wasn't going to do much editing on this video, but I guess I'll do some simple jump cut so it's not so incredibly dreary and boring to watch. Next battery pack. Oh! So I am surprised that there isn't the typical blued wrapping on this battery pack. I thought that was like an industry standard or something. Okay, let's do this in fishing trick. It's interesting that the BMS is actually on the outside, so it's facing the exterior. But I guess this is a steel case. So theoretically it's okay. I mean, if you punch this really hard, there is the potential that you may damage the BMS. But then again, you wouldn't want to punch through a battery pack either. That would be bad. Okay, I'm gonna do my wire fishing thing. Hopefully it works again. Yeah, the inside of the case looked like there's not a lot of stuff going on. I don't know why I was expecting to see the motor cut off there. Jason is planning to still send me the Abrams for review, and I'm still hopeful for that wheel because after all, I like large wheel. Okay, I like, I like my Monster, the 22-inch wheel that it is. I tend to like, am I doing this right? It came out backward, but it came out. Okay, we're almost there. Not quite the unboxing experience you're expecting, I guess. So the other thing I don't know is how long I'm going to get to keep this wheel. Usually the new hot thing, I am only given like a week to do a review on. So it's very crazy. The like for the veteran, I was able to make that work. Because I didn't have a job at the time, thanks to the pandemic. I was out of job. So I had a little bit more free time, but that was just an absolutely intense week. Because, and that was just an absolutely intense week because I, not only have I had to review that wheel, I was also told that I should try to release the video at the end of that week. So I had to shoot, I had to come up with a script, and I have to edit, and then I find myself in this strange position where I had, the hottest wheel around, the Sherman, but I wasn't writing it. It was just sitting there because I was busy editing. So I am sure one of the local guys would be very angry that I just didn't let one of them have it for a few hours to write it around. But knowing the crazy people they are, that's probably not a good idea either. They were not gentle on the demo, which is this is the other aspect of getting a demo wheel. Everyone's rules are a little bit differently. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Yuko about borrowing their S20 to do a review on. And, I asked him whether or not I can do a demo with it. And the answer is no. They would prefer not to let their, nice demo wheel get damaged. Because the dealer have to pay for the demo wheel. They pay full price. Whatever their dealer price is, but they still have to pay for it. And then of course the cost of, air freight is very expensive as well. And as mentioned, parts are difficult to come by in the first batch. So if you break something, it's very unlikely that you'll get it fixed quickly. So the wheels often, if you do break it, just gets, stay broken for a long time. For instance, and this is also partly on whether or not there is the will to do it, but like the Monster Pro, if you recall, I did a review for that wheel, and the bore like burned out on it, and it's still not fixed. A year later, like they just never found the part for it because. I don't know if Jason was actually doing. I think he was holding off on selling that wheel anyway because he was waiting for his battery pack to get fully vetted, knowing the risk of selling, stock Gotway pads. All right, time for the plug. This is always scares me a little bit because you get a little bit of a spark. Oh, not there. All right, we're fully connected. It's time to get it back in. So this is a trick that I think Chris might have taught me this. No, it was Archie. Was it Archie? I forgot. Someone taught me with these electrical connectors that you should thread. I don't know, man. It's a little bit tight here. You know what? I'm going to skip. It's a little bit tight. Oh, shit. Sorry. I turned it out accidentally. Where is the freaking on button? I didn't even know. How do I turn it off? All right, that's a little bit. Hopefully, it has an auto off button. This connector is a little bit finicky. I'm kind of not perfectly happy with it because the plugs are like right in between. At least I take it that I didn't do anything wrong to, and it's actually still kind of work. What was I saying? Yeah, this connector piece I'm a little bit skeptical about, like because the plug is like right in between, and I'm like kind of feel like a little bit worried that I'm gonna pinch a wire. I think if it's like, if the split wasn't just like, because right now what you had to, oh gosh. What you have to do is that you have to squeeze all the plug into that little hole and then put the cap over it. Oh gosh. How do I even turn it on and turn it off? And I mean not mess with it until I get the cover completely back. Unless something goes wrong. Okay. There is a nice thick weatherproofing. Oh wait, did I? There's two rails that goes over this, and on the back rail, this controller is sitting on the back rail, the back fork, I mean. So there's a thin rubber piece that straddle this rail to cushion the controller, and it was just sitting there. It wasn't attached to anything, it wasn't in a groove, so I was a little bit worried that when I put the controller back, it may not have seated properly, but it seems like I did fine. So the other thing, I was looking at this display. It's not the full color display we got with the V12. With the V12, there's that color display. But in some way, I kind of think... All right, I ran out of storage on my last clip. I was taking too long, I guess. So meanwhile, I actually went and downloaded the app, activated the wheel, and everything works. So I did not screw this up. Very excited. So the annoying part is that the safeguard that got Kingsong put in place means that there's a limit of 45 kilometers an hour. So that's like what, 30? Somewhere there, around there. So even though this is a 45 miles per hour capable wheel, right now it could only do 30. This piece in the back is a little bit, oh wait, let me tilt you in the right place. This piece in the back feels a little bit finicky. I wish it was spring loaded or something, because it's also the switch that enable the motor self-balancing. So when you do that, it loses it. And when you tip forward, it's like that. It activates it. So there should be some kind of spring. There's a magnet to keep it, keep it to the front. But yeah, like right now it feels a little bit too loose when it's like flopping around the back. But we'll figure it out. The next thing I need to do is that these, oh my god, that's surprisingly tight. These wedges are supposedly installed left, right, reversed. So I need to flip them, and also what I'm going to do is I'm going to add Velcro stripped to the side so that all the pads could be moved easily. This is what I always do for all my wheels. I also had to install my Android phone has been acting up, so I also had to install the app in the Kingsong app to activate the wheel on my iPad, my work iPad, but I don't think I don't need it after the initial activation. So hopefully I can run this wheel without the app. But I did hear from Law with Yuko that there is a problem with with oscillation at high speed over 35 miles an hour. So that is something that we need to, apparently Kingsong is working on a fix via firmware update. So let's see, there is 2 sets of location for these little angle thing. I have a lot of Velcro. This is for demo wheel, but unfortunately I think I ran out of the hook side. I only have a small piece of the hook side. A lot of loop, so I'm gonna cover the whole thing with it, and then I need to go and buy some additional ones so I can, put these on. How does this work? This goes on the other side. So, yeah. So I need to go out and get more Velcro tomorrow. But I think it's working. And I figure out where the switch is. It's, oh Jesus, boy, that's bright. The switch is right underneath this. Kind of a strange place because it would get splashed quite a bit, no? I do think that it doesn't look like there's very much clearance underneath the what is that thing called? The mud guard. Gosh, I can't speak anymore. You see how terrible I am without a script? So there's not a lot of room. So I feel like if you ride through a mud, it's going to quickly just like get all skunk up in there. So some figure out would need to be done with this wheel. So let's see. That kickstand is surprisingly effective, I have to say. Oh gosh, why is this pedal fighting me? I'm gonna completely ruin the look of this wheel by adding my own custom pad to it. This is a whole lot of Velcro I'm adding to this. This probably had the biggest freaking surface ever. Never had this much. The stock pads actually look like they're meant to go really high up on the wheel. This is why. Like, I was testing it out. It looks like it's like right here. It's really high up. So I'm gonna just cover the side of this thing with Velcros. Good thing I have a lot of it. But I suspect that I'm gonna be riding mostly with my own pads when I'm not doing the pretty video shots. I'll use the stock pad to get some nice shots of the wheels as it's intended to be. But then when I really, I do want to, of course, test the full performance capability of this wheel and push it to its top speed. I did talk to Jack about this, and he said that he had to convince Kingsong to not make the tilt back at 45 miles per hour as severe as they intended to be, for safety reason. They had originally wanted something like 22 degree or something. It's like, that's actually dangerous, because at that speed, if it's tilting back that strongly, that would like literally throw you off balance. So it's a good thing that they listened to him. So I think the actual tilt back angle of this at 45 miles an hour is something like 5 degrees. Enough to let you know that you're hitting the peak, but not enough to actually throw you off. The problem is that, of course, nobody in China actually ride these wheels as fast as we do in the West. So as a result, some of the more practical aspect of dealing with higher speed, it's harder for them to kind of understand what is the right thing to do. Oh my God, man, this thing is... I added a crap load of... all right. And then I have to add the... All right, this bit is a little bit boring, so I'm gonna skip. All right, I got all the Velcro on it, and I'm going to screw the boomerang back on, and then after this, the seat, and then I think we're pretty much done and ready to go. So this does work with the Velcro. I don't see why it wouldn't, but I did have some question. So let's see. There's two different red color. Unfortunately, I do think that Kingsong is a bit more experimental and willing to try new things, but the quality of their plastic is still not as nice as what Emotion used. So they still lags a bit there. So if you look at this wheel close up, and that's often what people say about the S20, the S18 versus the V11. Like looking at the photos, people often would think that the S18 is a much more attractive wheel, but in fact, when they actually see them in person, what happened to the pads? Oh, here. Like when they actually see them in person, like everyone prefers the V11 instead of the S18 because it feels more premium, and that is a thing. As much as we pay for these wheels, there is the hand feel, as I would call it, like the texture of the plastic, the kind of the sense of quality that you get, little things. Okay, next we're going to put this. I do appreciate making the seat a permanent part of the wheel. This is a good idea. This is a very good idea because I love seated riding. I like this. More companies should do this. Make it an integral part. The V11 actually works pretty well in that regard. because when you attach the seat securely to the scorpion style handle, you can still lift the handle and then carry the wheel using the handle underneath it. But the problem is that the seat doesn't, like, it's a Velcro attachment to the plastic, and the kind of plastic Emotion use is like a higher quality plastic with some kind of coating on top of it, and as a result, it, like, nothing, like glue doesn't stick to it. So they're using better stuff, but the problem is that it's almost a little bit too good. So the next step I'm going to do, and I can't do it now, is to actually attach the rest of the pads. For that, I would need to get the loop side pads, the hook side pads, I mean. I need to put, like, Velcro on the back of this, which I don't have. So it will be like this, I guess. Anyhow, we gotten it far enough. Before we pack up, I am going to... is that a cutoff? No, this is the cutoff. I'm gonna at least get on it. My first ride. Oh, that is very comfortable. The pegs, the little pokey portion of the pedal actually feels decently sharp, so it should work. Okay, but as I suspect, this is a really very comfortable seated wheel. It's just the right height. I believe this is actually the same height as a Monster Pro. So, all right. Oh, and like any other Kingsong wheel, the top speed needs to be unlocked. So right now it's factory limited to 45 kilometer. Oh wait, I think I said that already. So 30 miles an hour right now. I need to ride it for, like, I'm guessing, like they said, like 5 to 10 kilometer. So that's like what, 8 miles before it will fully unlock the top speed. I'm gonna do, I can't ride this out right now. The plan is to do the beauty shot, like, the dramatic shots tomorrow night. It's kind of getting late already. And then after that, I'm going to actually bring it over to Mick's place. So Mick, aka EVX, so that he can actually shoot it also. We don't want to, like, we want to shoot this, we want to do all the beauty shot before this actually touch the street, because once we ride it in the street, it gets like, you can't, it's too dirty to actually make the beauty shots. So yeah, like, it's really, like, this portion needs a spring. It's a problem. The light is very bright. Man, this may be the best light. Wow, this is bright. Man, you can tilt it. Oh, the real last stop that we gotta do. Let's do a free spin. Where do I hold it? All right. Whoops. I only saw it going, I can't see it very well. I think it went up to like 90. Can't tell. All right, enough playing around. I'm gonna call it for the day. And then we'll do our beauty shot tomorrow. I do need to get the pads installed, and then after that, we're good to go. Review incoming. I hope this is interesting. I had not done a unedited, film roll like this. I'm gonna upload it so you can kind of see what I'm really like in person. I hope it's interesting. If you sat through this whole thing like this, I impress. So anyhow, this is, again, I do wanted to make something just for the people that support me on Patreon. I really appreciate it, and I have to tell you guys, man, like there's, I gone through days when work is really busy and I have a hard time kind of slugging through, the editing session. It's still time consuming even after all this time. But it's the fact that you guys support me that kept me going. I'm like, oh man, I gotta stick to my schedule. I can't, let things slide. I gotta release, I gotta keep releasing new videos, because people really, are are supporting me through this. So again, I hope this is fun. And the review is coming soon. All right.